Hey all, welcome to my channel. I'm gonna say something very quickly. I have the Pixel 5. Uh, I'm happy with my Pixel 5, of course. I mean, the Pixel Superfan thing, that's a whole different story. It's more of a case of like it's free, so I was like, all right, whatever, I don't care. Am I a Pixel fanboy? Yes and no. Honestly, the only reason why I like it is because of the fact that some of the stock Android that's there is not available to the Samsung, unfortunately. That's the one thing I kind of miss out on. Like, Android messages, it's better than Samsung messages a little bit. And then as well as the photo aspect of things. I mean, you got the Google Photos and camera, which is interesting compared to Samsung's, phone. The one thing though is with Samsung messages, you get the emojicons or memojis, whatever you call it nowadays. Whereas Android doesn't have that. It'd be great if that was there too. That would be really great, but unfortunately, they don't have that just yet. Uh, so one of the things I'm going to talk, not one of the things, but the thing I'm talking about now is there was a recent article that was released a couple of days ago about the fact that the the Magic Eraser feature that was going to be in Google Photos was going to be made available to every device that's willing to pay for Google storage. So if you have a Samsung phone or any other Android phone outside of the Pixel line that's not from Google, and you still use Google Photos, you can, if you're using paying for Google storage, you get the ability to use Magic Eraser. It won't use the actual eraser part won't work properly. Utilize some of the chips that's on there, but more of software based, more than hardware based. Whereas on the 7 and 6, Pixel 7 and 6, sorry, the Tensor chip, it's able to use it against that, and that's why. Same thing apparently, where if you're using Google Photos um, for Apple, it's supposedly available for that too. I'll say this: I was kind of waiting for that update on mine because they said for Pixel phones, it'll be fully available for Pixel phones, and I was kind of waiting for that honestly. Um, and I didn't get it there until just this morning when I did a photos up, apps update, photos over there, and I saw it using it on the Pixel 5. It's not as great as what you would see it on the 7 and 6, to be honest. Um, Software wise, it does a decent job. It does a decent job, honestly. Some of the photos I've done it on, it works pretty decently. But then I realized if Google's able to do this on message, Google's able to do this with their camera. It's only a matter of time before Samsung copies them, all the other like OnePlus One, the Nothing phone, etc. All those Android variations will probably start utilizing it against the Snapdragon chip or whatever other chip they're using, and Apple probably copying them soon enough as well. To honestly, people will see. I mean, Google's been touting that in commercials lately. I was like, oh, with Giannis as being the spokesperson for it, practically. The Magic Eraser part. Um, will I get a Google Pixel 7? I'm at the 5 right now. Honestly, I'm gonna wait off till the Pixel 8 because you know why? The Tensor chip still has bugs. I've heard, of course, we saw issues with 6, 7. People, I think I haven't been hearing as much of complaints, but there is still some complaints about it. Would I wait for the 7A? Maybe, but honestly, I'd rather wait for the 8. You know why? I I don't mind the screen fingerprint, but I'd rather have the fingerprint reader on the back. Honestly, that's the ideal solution because you know why? The screen itself. What happens unless they use I think it was Sonic deterministic Sonic. Yeah, Sonic. I forgot the exact terminology, but it's using Sonic waves basically, or Sonic distribution against the way Samsung is doing it. That's how Samsung's using it. If they're able to do it that way, that works perfectly, honestly. Um, so I still want to stay with I still want to stay with my Pixel 5 until the 8 comes out and see how the 8 comes out. Because like honestly, I don't want to go use the TensorFlow chip yet. And but usually by the third iteration, Google gets it right with whatever hardware they got it on. It's just a matter of the camera itself. Can they get the camera much better than the uh, Samsung Ultra 23, Galaxy Ultra 23? That Ultra 23 looks really, really nice, really interesting, but it doesn't have a lot of the features that you know, my Pixel has, unfortunately. Like Android messages, that's one of the big things. I mean, like, you know, it's got some AI built into it in that aspect. You know, auto response messages and such, which is great in that aspect. It's also got the features with the Pixel phone of like, you know, was it spam call detection, as well as if you get messages, it automatically prompts into some sort of message, as well as if you're calling some sort of you know, reservation system or something like that, or some kind of automated system, you call into it, it actually helps you into that aspect and assists you in that aspect as well too, which is great. Um, would I go to an Apple iOS device? I was. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That's the first time I think I see this on camera. And of course, this is not a, you know, usually my videos unedited, unfiltered, and unrehearsed. So I'm just going as is. Sorry. Anyways, I should have paused that one at that point. But anyways, um, it's a situation of what should what it's more of a like you the person. What are you most comfortable with? What are some of the features you want? Yeah, you want some of the features that each one has, the best of each one, and have it there. But unfortunately, some of them have patents, so you can't work off those. So that's why some of these companies can't incorporate it into their phones. But honestly, after a year or so, usually each company copies anyway, so it won't matter at that point. Um, but I would say this though. Um, there are some nice features with the iPhone to the point where like at least the battery life lasts much longer compared to other Android devices that are out there. And two, it's very rare, or not rare, but much more difficult to introduce viruses or malware into an iPhone or iOS device than an Android device. That's one of the nice things about it because of their walled garden with the App Store. It's hard to like, you know, introduce some stuff, and as well as introduce background reading information or tracking information, which, you know, Apple has that ability to control. Android, of course, Google is like, no, we don't want to restrict that access, you know, restrict that because that will restrict their own apps at that point as well too. So, and then their ecosystem will die out to the point of like Samsung and whomever else will probably create their own version of an operating system that they push out there that will be backward compatible to Android, so Android apps can get onto there at that point. That's the one thing I think Microsoft goofed up on is if Microsoft's operating system could support Android apps, I think then you would have a lot more Microsoft mobile devices at this point. And that's the one thing that, you know, I'll be honest, when Microsoft's mobile devices came out, it wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. It was pretty good. And the battery life was far more better than I thought anticipated, to be quite honest. The only problem was the apps themselves. They just sucked. There was a lack of apps on the store, and some of them were not focused on. They were like the stepchild or the adopted child compared to the other you know, mainstays of the iOS and Android uh, ecosystems. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Do you guys have the Magic Eraser on your phone? If you have the 7, do you love it? Do you hate it? On the 6, do you love it or hate it? I'm pretty sure if you're on the 6, you most likely upgrade to the 7. Or you probably waiting for, if you have the 5 or 4 for that matter, are you waiting for the Pixel 7a or waiting for the Pixel 8? Or are you going to go over to the Samsung or to Apple for that matter? Let me know your thoughts. Again, I read my comments, so please leave a comment, and I do respond to them. If there are questions or some comment, I do respond to it in some form of nature. As well as the fact is like, you know, like or dislike, it's up to you. But I also ask, please subscribe. You don't have to hit the notifications, but it'd be great if you subscribed, and you'll get, you know, see some of my stuff into your feed. And with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.